So we could say, well, if it is really about your body, your brain, your voice, your style, when you stand up tomorrow and the pressure is on, why not just get up and be natural? There's the answer, isn't it? You know, when I stand before you this evening, in many ways, I am trying to practice what I'm preaching. I'm trying to persuade you that I, a communication consultant who is not a trial lawyer, but has worked with trial lawyers for 30 years, that I have something of value to say that is the truth upon which you can act, in many ways like what you want a jury to do. Here's the truth upon which you can act, members of the jury. So why not just be natural, trying to answer this question? I want to project to you some sense of, hey, it's really me talking to you. It's not Brian acting or role-playing or pretending. I'm not trying to be Hamlet this afternoon. I'm trying to be me talking to you, trying to get to some kind of authenticity and naturalness. And I can't really project that to you if I'm not feeling it myself within my heart of hearts. Yeah, this is really me. This is really me talking to you. I'm not faking it or acting like I am someone else. So it makes a certain amount of sense to say, just get up and be yourself. Just be natural. But unfortunately, that instruction, be natural, doesn't help anybody get better because of what I've come to term the paradox of natural. And the paradox of natural is this. Sometimes natural behaviors under the heightened scrutiny of the courtroom appear to be oddly unnatural. And sometimes, paradoxically, unnatural behaviors are exactly the thing you need to do in order to appear natural. Thus the paradox. So let me give you some examples of what I'm talking about. Let's define natural as the way we behave in the course of our everyday lives, with our bodies, our brains, and our voices. So think about what I'm doing right now with my body as I talk to you. Think of the relative formality with which I'm standing here. I'm standing still, weight evenly balanced on both feet. I'm inhibiting all those personal tics and mannerisms that we all have, that we all do when we're being natural, we don't even know it. You know, if you and I at the gathering out in the foyer after this presentation were shooting the breeze, neither one of us would spend very much time doing what I'm doing right now, wouldn't we? We would do something that was natural, which would look and feel different. We would shift and we'd adjust. We wouldn't think about inhibiting that ability to scratch the nose or pull on the ear. And I guarantee if you and I were talking one-on-one in conversation, none of this behavior that I'm engaged in right now would even appear to you because it's so natural, it's completely unconscious. Well, think about just that. If after Roosevelt's introduction, if I stood up and just did that behavior. Good afternoon. I'm Brian Johnson, and I'm here to talk about how you can be a good communicator like me, and you'd think, oh, I don't think so. I think I'm going to learn that from that guy. Man, you look kind of uncomfortable. You look kind of unnatural doing what is natural, but it doesn't seem so natural to be doing that in the context of this room, this moment, talking to you as an audience. So I'm physically trying to control certain elements of my behavior in order to appear natural doing what I'm doing right now, which frankly for most of us isn't natural. You know, how much of your time do you ever spend in a great big room talking loudly to a whole room full of people? Not very often, I suspect, for many of you. So, take as another example of the paradox, what I'm doing with my voice as I talk to you. Now, I want you to think that I'm being natural, but of course I am talking much louder than is natural. If you and I were in conversation 3 feet apart, how loud would I talk? Well, let's see, if you were standing right there, so this is natural. Okay, I want to be natural, so I want to be this loud. Now, I can hold your attention briefly at this volume level, but heaven knows I'm not going to be able to talk for roughly an hour and keep your attention if this is how hard I'm working. But it's natural, so isn't it desirable? And what if you are someone who is naturally much more soft? You know, what are you going to do? You don't want to be natural. It won't be loud enough. You don't want a judge to say, counsel, would you please speak up? We can't hear you. And you can't say, sorry, Your Honor. Wouldn't be natural. And I know from having worked with lots of soft-spoken people, men and women all over the country, that when you finally get loud enough, what do you say? Oh, it is so unnatural for me to talk like this. You know, I feel like aren't I yelling? I feel like I'm yelling. Well, no, now we can finally hear you. Oh, man, it's so unnatural. So you can't be natural as a speaker. It's not loud enough. So you've got to feel like it's natural to talk as loudly as I'm talking right now, which is totally unnatural. But it's what the job requires. And then take what's going on up here. I've been fascinated working with trial lawyers for 30 years because I think it is the hardest, coolest thing to try to take on as a challenge. You know, you've got to know not only everything you need to know about the law and the rules of the courtroom and understanding yourself and how to communicate and other people, but you've got to in some way wrestle with just how do I think through these challenges. So take just a couple examples. I think direct examination is so incredibly difficult to do well because there is no natural model for direct. You know, think about it. When in your natural conversational life do you ever ask an extended series of questions to which you already know the answer? Never. So to get up and say, okay, I want to do it direct, I want it to be natural, it's okay, well, like when? Or think about cross-examination. That rule about, okay, now be careful, don't ask the one question too many. Stop right before that. Stop at the penultimate question. Don't ask that one question too many. Well, when do we ever do that? You know, isn't the fun of arguing with a friend that you finally get to say, so, isn't it true that, and you're supposed to, no, don't go there. It's like, oh, well, that's really not natural. So the whole question of what's going on in court is we want it to be natural, but it's not with the brain or the voice or the body. What we need instead is technique, and that's really what I've been teaching and searching for the last 30 years.